The movie starts in a restaurant where Dreux works as a waitress. She treats her customers like family, making everyone feel welcome. After her shift, her best friend and roommate, Alyssa, picks her up. Dreux hopes to get a new, high-paying job as a franchise manager, while Alyssa is an artist struggling to sell her paintings. They live in a part of Los Angeles called the Jungles, a small community with a tight-knit group of people. Their apartment complex is run by a strict landlord named Uche. Dreux and Alyssa share their place with Alyssa's boyfriend, Keyshawn. Dreux dislikes him, but Alyssa refuses to let him go, even though he doesn't contribute much. Later, Dreux visits Mama Ruth, the apartment's vendor, to buy some things. While there, she runs into a man named Maniac. Dreux finds him attractive and enjoys their brief conversation. Dreux tries to get some rest before her big interview, but loud pounding on the door wakes her up. It's Uche, the landlord, demanding the rent since it's the first of the month. Dreux insists Alyssa already paid him, but Uche says he hasn't received anything. He warns them that if they don't have the money by 6 p.m., they'll be evicted. Dreux goes to Alyssa's room, where Alyssa admits she gave the rent money to Keyshawn. When they try to confront him, they find he's already gone. That evening, the tenants gather to watch as a new neighbor, a young white woman named Bethany, moves in. She is the first white person in the complex, which makes her stand out. She tries to introduce herself to Dreux and Alyssa, but they aren't interested in getting to know her. Determined to find out where he went, they take Keyshawn's phone to their hairdresser, Jamil, who helps them jailbreak it. They discover that Keyshawn is seeing another woman named Bernice. The two women track down Bernice's apartment. Dreux creates a distraction while Alyssa sneaks into the bedroom, where she finds Keyshawn asleep. She tries to take his wallet, but he wakes up. Bernice catches on and storms into the room just as Keyshawn admits he spent their rent money on his knockoff t-shirt business. Before Bernice can attack them, Dreux and Alyssa run for their car, only to realize it's been towed because Alyssa parked in front of a fire hydrant. Bernice chases them down the street until she crashes into an open car door, falling flat and humiliating herself in front of the neighborhood. Furious and embarrassed, Bernice vows to get revenge on them. With only 8 hours left before eviction, Dreux and Alyssa grow desperate. They head to a loan office called Payday Whenever to try and get the rent money. Outside, a man named Lucky warns them against it, telling them he's taken out too many loans and can't pay them back. Ignoring his advice, the ladies go inside and meet with Kathy, an obnoxious loan officer. She mocks Alyssa for having no income and laughs at Dreux's embarrassingly low credit score. With no luck there, they leave feeling even more hopeless. Their next plan is to earn quick cash by donating blood at a local blood bank. Dreux agrees to donate, but she gets stuck with Ruby, an inexperienced nurse who convinces her to give 4 bags of blood, far more than normal. By the end of it, Dreux is pale and dizzy. Things go from bad to worse when Alyssa and Ruby start arguing, which leads to Dreux's blood bags getting knocked over and spilling everywhere. The ladies leave with no money, just a few vouchers for apple pies from Church's Chicken. Time is running out, and their situation only seems to be getting more chaotic. Dreux and Alyssa head to Church's Chicken to redeem their apple pie vouchers, but just as they get their food, a masked bandit snatches it and runs off. As they stand there stunned, Maniac pulls up in his car. He was stopping for food too. Seeing their situation, he kindly buys them a meal, and the two women are grateful. After eating, Alyssa gets an idea for how to make some quick money. She leaves Dreux alone with Maniac, giving them a chance to talk. While riding with him, Dreux learns that Maniac left his gang life behind and is now trying to make a positive difference in his community. She finds herself even more drawn to him. Not long after, Dreux's phone rings. It's Lucky, warning her that Alyssa is about to do something dangerous. Maniac drives her to the scene, where they find Alyssa climbing a landline pole to retrieve a pair of retro Air Jordans tangled on the wires. Dreux begs her to come down, but Alyssa is determined. She manages to get the shoes, only to be shocked by the live wires and fall, landing right on top of Dreux. An ambulance takes them both in, but when the vehicle stops at a light, the women decide to make a run for it to avoid the hospital bill. They escape, but the EMTs call after them, saying they know where to send the bill. Time is still running out, and their wild day is far from over. Dreux and Alyssa clean up the Jordans and arrange to meet a buyer at the park. When Dreux gets there, she spins a story about the shoes belonging to her late father, hoping to drive up the price. The buyer, moved to tears, convinces her to lower the price, but it turns out he was playing her all along. They end up getting $1,000 less than expected, but it's still enough to cover their rent. Meanwhile, Bernice is driving around town with Keyshawn, determined to track the ladies down. As they pass by Church's Chicken, the Biscuit Bandit strikes again. This time, Bernice takes matters into her own hands, literally, by running him over with her car to reclaim her stolen food. Back on track, Alyssa joins Dreux to support her for her big interview. After freshening up, Dreux heads inside to meet with Norman and Shayla. Dreux connects well with Shayla, answering questions confidently and making a solid impression. Outside, Alyssa buys a fruit cup from a vendor and takes flirty photos with him to send to Keyshawn, pretending he's her new man. Unfortunately, this backfires. Bernice sees the photos and figures out where to find them. Just as Dreux is wrapping up her interview, and Shayla is telling her she's exactly what they're looking for, Bernice shows up and attacks Alyssa, beating her up right outside the building. Alyssa screams Dreux's name, blowing her cover. Dreux tries to intervene, but Bernice easily takes them both down, even delivering a humiliating booty slam. To make things worse, she steals Alyssa's money, leaving them broke once again. Dreux tries to save face with Shayla, but the damage is done. Shayla, now skeptical, tells Dreux that maybe she isn't what they're looking for after all. The day keeps going from bad to worse. Things go from bad to worse when Dreux realizes that Alyssa revealed their location by still talking to Keyshawn. After a heated argument, the two friends decide to part ways. But their separation doesn't last long. Alyssa gets a terrifying phone call from King Lolo, a dangerous neighborhood thug. Turns out, the retro Air Jordans Alyssa sold belong to him, and now he wants double the money they made from the sale, or he'll bit them both. The deadline: 10 o'clock that night. Panicked, Dreux and Alyssa return to their apartment, only to find that Uche has already moved their belongings out onto the street. It's 6:30, and even though it's technically still the first of the month, Uche isn't budging. Dreux begs for more time, and Uche reluctantly gives them until just before midnight to come up with the rent. Defeated, Dreux and Alyssa sit on their couch, surrounded by their possessions, until Bethany walks by and notices Alyssa's artwork. In a small stroke of luck, Dreux sells one of Alyssa's pieces to Bethany for $300. Seeing an opportunity, Dreux takes Bethany up on her Prosecco and Pals invitation, an event where Bethany's rich hipster friends gather for drinks and conversation. Dreux hatches a plan. They'll set up a pop-up art show that night, where Bethany can invite her wealthy friends. If they play their cards right, Alyssa's art could sell for hundreds of dollars, giving them a real chance to pay off Lolo and make the rent, just in time. It's risky, but it's their best shot. With just 3 hours left until Lolo's arrival, Dreux and Alyssa pull off their pop-up art show. The vibe is electric, and the sales are rolling in. Shayla even shows up, giving Dreux a chance to smooth things over and potentially land that second chance at the job. The night goes better than they ever expected. They make a staggering $52,000. Feeling bold, Alyssa suggests they keep the money and stop living in fear of Lolo. But their celebration is cut short when Lolo and his two goons crash the party, and early, too. A gunshot rings out, scattering the crowd and leaving Dreux to face Lolo alone. Alyssa, thinking fast, creates a distraction that allows Dreux to escape. The two friends dart through the streets, hiding until what seems like the cops arrive, forcing Lolo to flee. They make it back to their apartment, hoping for a moment to breathe, only to find Keyshawn there, dozens of candles lit, a desperate attempt to win Alyssa back. He's terrified of Bernice now, but Alyssa isn't having it. Before Keyshawn can finish his plea, Lolo storms in, ready to finish what he started. Just as things look hopeless, a piece of the ceiling falls on Lolo's head, knocking him out cold. But the candles Keyshawn lit ignite a fire, and the apartment becomes an inferno. Despite Lolo's attempts to kill them, Alyssa refuses to leave him behind. They manage to drag him out, and as flames consume their home, Dreux and Alyssa reaffirm their unshakable bond. Moments later, Firefighters arrive to save them, led by none other than Maniac. The chaos, the danger, and the love they share for each other all culminate in this fiery, dramatic rescue. They've lost their apartment, but in that moment, they know they still have each other. Lolo was caught by the loan officers after Alyssa saw Lolo's picture on their wall of wanted borrowers. Alyssa called them, and they came to take Lolo away for not paying back the money she owed. Meanwhile, Maniac warned Dreux that Uche could get into serious trouble for breaking fire safety rules. But Maniac also mentioned that they might be able to solve this problem with home insurance. Dreux promised Maniac that he would stay in touch and give him a call. Later, Dreux and Alyssa sat together in what was left of their apartment, trying to figure out how to fix everything. They knew it would be hard, but they decided to start fresh. At the end of the story, text appears to explain what happened to everyone. Dreux and Alyssa found a new landlord who helped them repair their apartment. Keyshawn convinced Bethany to let him stay at her place, but her dog destroyed all of Keyshawn's sneakers. No one ever messed with Bernice again, but sometimes she joked that she wished someone would try. Ruby went back to working as a stripper after many failed attempts to get a normal job. Lucky stayed the same, living life as he always did. Alyssa's art became popular, and she started selling her work for $1,000 each. Dreux succeeded as a franchise manager and kept a good relationship with Maniac. Together, Dreux and Alyssa had a combined credit score of 447, which was low, but they were working on improving it. Despite everything, they stayed best friends and supported each other. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.